I remember...
Can't believe I just did a mad person.
I remember the early 80s when the troubles in Northern Ireland... Yeah, the troubles in Northern Ireland were quite high, and myself and Hugh Laurie and Robert Bathurst, we were doing this comedy show.
We're in the IRA.
We'd all just had haircuts.
You in the IRA would be
and
brilliant.
we were in this dark green minibus, and we looked like soldiers. We looked like young...
You didn't.
Yeah, and so... Because I was thin then, and I looked like an officer, and... we put our faces against the window and went... so we tried to look like a Variety Sunshine bus. So the IRA wouldn't shoot us. Oh dear. It's shaming.
Don't shoot us, the Variety Sunshine bus.
These terrorists have always got that sort of sentimental heart to them, isn't it?
Can you do that action again? I just want to see that again.
Sorry, stop it. It's not fair.
Excuse me, everyone. I think they forgot to put a camera on me because I'm a fucking girl.
Never.
Right?
I use that shot every time. That'll look brilliant.
Yes, they should use it each time, exactly.
Sorry, do you want a proper one?
Oh, right, this is actually the opening round one.
Oh, my God.
Where I announce how everybody goes. So, I'll lead into it for you, Joe, when I'm cued. I'm getting a voice in my ear. So, just for Joe. But first, is that a cue? Yes. But first, an equipment test. Joe goes... An extra point. What do Australians call a prawn?
Shrimp.
Oh no, dear.
They call it a yabby.
No, they call it a prawn. The reason you might have thought it was a shrimp is you remember Paul Hogan had the Foster's thing, put another shrimp on the Barbie.
Mate.
Yeah, but that was made for the American market where they do call prawns shrimps. That's the reason. Oh, it's just an extra trick.
Quite interesting.
A quite interesting point. Thank you.
Yes.
Did you know, incidentally, that the colour Barbie pink is copyright of the Mattel Corporation? And did you care?
I was only discussing this the other day with the vicar.
There you are. Anyway, let's have a look at the scores.
And he stroked my Barbie pink boots.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Prawns aren't pink till you've cooked them, mine. They're horrible.
They're horrible, slimy grey, aren't they?
You wouldn't eat one if you saw it raw.
Yeah. They are really maggots when you look at them. They are just maggots of the sea, aren't they?
Well, they feed off effluent pipes. They do. They swim around. That's where they feed. They swim around the ship pipes. They pump stuff out to sea.
Yep. There's not much to recommend them, really, is there, when you think about them?
They're bloody nice with avocado.
Delicious.
And you also have to pull the little black gut line out, the little entrails.
Cocktail sauce, prawn cocktail sauce.
Mary Rose, yeah.
Ketchup and mayonnaise.
Yes, that's right.
That's all you need.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Yep. We're like 4 talking lolly sticks, aren't we?
If 2,000 coleopterists discovered 4 new species a day each, how long would it take them to discover 10 million species?
Oh, you're...
4,000. 6.5, 2, 3, carry the 6.
100.
70,
80, 40, 90, 30...
60, 2,642 years.
3.5 years is the answer. It's not that much, actually.
3.5 years.
Quite marvellous.
My message, you say, where's the working out?
That's your job.
Where's your working out? It says on rough paper. It's on rough paper.
Bombardier beetles, they squirt a mixture of an extraordinary thing called hydroquinone.
Why are you telling him?
Hydrogen...
He's got a natural...
trying to bring anybody in.
No, but you're thinking, well, Alan is in the moat outside the Castle of Knowing. We've pulled up the drawbridge.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it is interesting, and Alan will find it interesting.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of... There are 2 chemicals, hydroquinone and hydrogen peroxide, which we know is very strong, and what's called the disinhibitor chemical. And these, they come out of the arse, in an explosion.
That's not a technical term.
When they, all right, they come out of the hind parts.
Thank you.
And they explode, and it's at a temperature of 400 degrees Celsius. They squirt out of the back of the bombardier beetle.
So basically, if your roots are showing a bit, you can just get a bombardier beetle
to give you a hydrogen peroxide bleaching.
Out of its arse. I know this is meant to be quite interesting, but can you foresee any situation in the future in which we might be able to use this information usefully in our lives to...
It's extraordinary. It's always the children who say, Sir, what's the point of geometry? Or what's the point of Latin? Who end up having no job, being alcoholic, and they don't notice that the ones who actually find knowledge for its own sake and pleasure and information in the history and in the world and nature around us, actually getting on and doing things with their fucking life. It's an odd thing.
Someone told me that Morph, the plasticine man, is called Morph after morphine. And Charlie, his white mate, is Charlie...
What are you saying about Tony Hart?
Morph and Charlie, heroin and cocaine.
Good. No, because he morphs his shape, metamorphoses.
It's a clever double meaning. Come on, you're brighter than that.
Oh, I don't know the idea that Tony Hart has even heard of Charlie.
I don't think it's his idea to name them.
Oh, I see. I think it's one of these...
We thought of a great name for them,
Pugwash
Tony.
things.
Captain Pugwash.
Yes, I don't think... I think it's one of these urban myths. Tell us all you can, for the next question, about the Great London beer disaster.
What year are we talking about?
1814.
1814, there was a beer disaster.
There was a big brewery there called the Mern Brewery. Right. And it had a huge 22-foot vat, which just broke, and it had... thousands of gallons, 7,500 gallons or something like that of beer inside it. And it broke other vats. And it washed out into the slums of St Giles, which is round about where Centrepoint is now. And 9 people were killed. They were drowned by this great wave of beer.
It wasn't cirrhosis then?
No. The whole place for months afterwards smelt of beer. And the public was so fascinated by it, they would come and visit, and some of the dead bodies were kept in their little hovels for the public to pay to see them. Come see my dead husband who was drowned in the great beer disaster.
Was they preserved in the alcohol?
You'd imagine it would be. It was very strong beer. It was porter rather than what we would think of as beer. Morris dancing is a world away from modern folk music.
That's about fertility, isn't it? The maypole was a huge willy.
It's a great big penis. Yeah. A big stripy penis with huge flaps coming down from it.
Why do they tie ribbons around the penis?
Well...
No, but really, no, how did that come about?
Why would you stab it in the desk at school? If you did, for example. I mean, that's just a thought.
Do you know what Russian soldiers used to do in the war?
You could chop it off because it was frozen solid.
You mightn't want to record this either. Russian soldiers used to get ducks, and they'd put the duck's head in a drawer. Yeah, you're already there, you know, and then the duck would be revealed, presented the part that they were interested in, and as they were in there, its little feet would be going.
Well, you would add a sort of rhythmic pulse.
Sort of rhythmic pulse, and that would be nice, just, you know, a little...
That's how their tanks worked.
Yeah, that's how they powered them, and then at the moment you just slam the drawer shut.
Oh, that's so unkind. Well, you could then eat it, I suppose.
I'm not saying it's a good thing.
No. Hence the phrase, fuck it up. There you go.
Manna means what is it in Hebrew?
Manna. Yeah, but so what is it from heaven?
What is it from heaven?
Well, the Israelites were crossing the desert, and God, to feed them, because they'd been running away.
Bread.
He dropped this stuff called manna, which we don't quite know what it is, but it was apparently rather the shape of a coriander seed, but tasted like a wafer of honey.
Why do people believe all this stuff, Stephen?
Well, it's all right.
Whether you believe it or television's ruined Bhutan. This stuff is responsible for some serious aggravation in the world. People believe it all, for God's sake. They do believe it all.
They do, yes,
Bronze Age mythology. They believe it all.
People believing in manna, it doesn't really upset me or anybody sensible as much as, say, them
I don't eat meat, right? I don't eat meat. And someone actually said to me, someone who should remain nameless, really angrily, animals were put on earth for us to eat. What does he mean by that? Put by who?
That's silly. Of course that's silly. Of course
I said you can eat one if you want, but don't shout at me about them being put there like it's some big toy farmyard. You're very clever. Why do they believe it all? Can't they just go, whoa, that was mad, I thought that was true for a minute. Why do people believe it?
Because they are foolish and ignorant and scared.
They need to believe it.
There's a distinction to be drawn between those who claim to have access to revealed truth and therefore claim to know what happens to us after we're dead on the basis of a text, whether it's a Quran or a Holy Bible.
Why do people believe them?
Which is nonsensical. And if they want to believe it, they're fine, but they mustn't push it down our throats, and they mustn't tell me who am I allowed to go to bed with and who I'm not allowed to go to bed with. It's not acceptable. Anybody who tells me what happens to me after I'm dead is either a liar or a fool.
That's what I mean.
No.
That's what I mean.
See,
I don't.
That's right. But,
oh, hello! It started a movement. See, no, I don't mind.
No,
I don't mind
the myth of the Jewish people having manna dropped on their heads. That doesn't actually matter. That's no more different. That's like Greek myth or any other myth. That's fine. But it's when it gets to telling people how to behave is where we do draw the line. There's a polar bear jail in Manitoba.
What?
The polar bears.
You don't want to be banged up in there, I tell you. I don't want to be banged up anywhere.
It's in the town of Churchill in Manitoba. It holds up to 23 polar bears.
Yeah, a polar bear sat in the corner with a harmonica.
Churchill's right on the Hudson Bay. It's above the tree line.
Very good, yes.
It's the coldest town in Canada.
Yes, which is why, and of course bears live quite close by.
And what crimes do they commit?
Well, they come in.
They come into
or are
town.
they just like these people shifted in Afghanistan? They're just arrested and put somewhere. Well, someone thinks
exactly, without so much as a lawyer or anything. They're made to wear orange boiler suits.
Yeah,
particularly degrading.
For a hood over them.
Which for a polar bear is disastrous.
Oh, absolutely.
Do they have to have their photos taken? They stood there like. There's some guy in Germany that liked eating endangered species and would phone zoos. Whenever their tigers died and things, he'd go, I'll buy it. I only want the leg. Go on, 400 nicker over the leg. Oh yeah, you've got a rhinoceros who's not too well.
So he serves roast panda and things like that.
Yeah, honestly, this guy, and he got caught with a freezer full of endangered meat.
A bloke who wrote the Hokey Cokey died recently. He was 93.
Yes, go on.
Do you know it?
I do, but tell the ladies and gentlemen.
Anyone that doesn't know, and you can just come down and he can tell it to you.
Go on.
Well, at the funeral, well, does it go? They went to put him in his coffin. They put his left leg in, then the fucking trouble started.
That's the one.
Is that it?
That'll do. That'll do.
That probably won't be in the actual broadcast.
What's quite interesting about young, single, female turkeys?
Do they wear the pained expression of much older married turkeys?
Well, they might do, oddly enough.
Do they have male genitals and
You're very close in a strange sort of way.
socks?
Socks was just going too far. It's not that they have male genitals, but they don't need males. In a very particular way.
Like most females.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Sorry. Just
They can impregnate themselves with a turkey baster.
Very pleasing idea. Or is it sort of? I mean,
I don't need you.
They can give birth without breeding. It's called parthenogenesis, sort of virgin birth. And it's quite common in other reptiles and things, snakes, and lizards and so on.
So the Virgin Mary, this won't stay in. Could have been a turkey.
Little more than a turkey bird.
Little more than a turkey, exactly. A Thanksgiving turkey.
Slightly glamorised by the Catholic Church.
If only I'd realised that, then I could have played her in the nativity play. I look most like a turkey. Go on.
That's why we have turkeys at Christmas.
Why?
The Virgin Mary was a turkey. 11 million turkeys get eaten in Britain every Christmas.
That's a beautiful fact.
There's a lot of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you never, ever see one.
You do if you come from Norfolk like me.
Yeah, well, you can hear them in the underground sheds that they live in.
Of
live in vast turkey bunkers under the Norfolk Broads.
They genuinely experimented. So, well, you see them crammed into sort of,
crates.
Help us, Stephen! Stephen! Fucker!
Only if you'll gobble me. They are... Sorry, I'm not supposed to hear that. But Bernard Matthews, this probably won't go out because he'll sue, but I do know this is true because I knew an employee
Is he a twat?
Yes, but he employed someone to work on the idea because his chickens were getting so fat and their breasts so enormous, they were falling over forwards. They were overbalanced. They couldn't stand. And he genuinely wanted the idea of developing one with a third leg under its breast, which would both support it and be an extra joint.
Has he spoken to Jordan?
It's horrifying. Catfish have the most taste buds of any living thing.
God, I bet they're fussy then.
Like cats. Yeah. But not only, of course, wouldn't they be able to tell what chocolate is, but it would be toxic. It would kill them.
Kill them?
Yeah, it's actually poisonous to us, but the lethal dose is quite high. It contains a...
I've got close.
Yes, as in the phrase "death by chocolate."
Exactly. Could you have a whole tin of Quality Street? Would that kill you?
They reckon about 22 pounds is the lethal dose for a human.
That's nothing.
Winston Churchill said a very wise thing. He said, I like pigs. He said, cats look down at you, dogs look up at you, but pigs regard you as an equal. So I think pigs are wonderful animals, don't you?
The thing is, pigs are carnivorous, aren't they? Because there was a farmer around...
Omnivorous, yes.
Where I lived when I was a child, and he had a heart attack in the pig pen and it ate him.
I read about it. There was one...
No, it's not funny, but it's quite interesting.
There was
When the kids come up to you, they go, "Are you on telly?" or "Are you off telly?"
Seen me off the telly.
Thing.
Yes, you've seen me now off the telly, but before you'd only seen me on the telly.
Then while you're composing an answer, they steal your mobile.
But what did they do to you?
Showbiz.
What did they do to you involving bamboo?
Oh, yeah.
An amazing story.
They nicked my car with it. Well, they got a bamboo cane with a hook on the end and they put it through the letterbox and got my car keys. And when they found the car later, crashed, it still had the bamboo cane in it, as if they were going to crash it, get the cane out and nick another one.
And so the long night wears on.
And then there was another kid came in the front door, he'd got the front door keys, found him in the kitchen.
Was he violent, or was he...
No. I was wearing only a T-shirt.
You could have been arrested.
It was 2 o'clock in the morning and I was standing up.
So... did the judge believe your story when the police found you in the kitchen? If
you do have a burglar in the house, flash him and he'll leg it.
That's probably good.
He will leg it.
Well, of course, it was Onan in the Bible where apparently all the inhabitants were masturbators, hence onanism being a word for it. And Dorothy Parker called her parrot Onan because, quoting the Bible, it spilled its seed on the ground. A quote in the Bible, the people of Onan did spill their seed on the ground, and this apparently were cursed for that reason.
Cursed?
Yes, instead of doing it into a tissue or a sock or something like that. You know, Kinsey, as in the Kinsey report, he shocked America in the 50s with his revelations about, firstly, the American male and then the American female, simply by asking all questions, known as the deafening report, the Kinsey report, and it shocked America. And one of the things it said was that 90% of all American males masturbated regularly. And this journalist said to Kinsey, what does it say about our people? What does it say about America, Dr. Kinsey, that 90% of American males admit that they masturbate regularly? And he says, it tells us that 10% of males are liars. The procedure was as follows. The candidate was placed on a bed and asked once again if he would ever regret castration. If the answer was no, he was bound with tight bandages, given a bowl of nerve-stunning herbal tea, and his genitals were then dipped in extremely hot chili sauce to desensitise them, apparently. Both penis and testicles were then swiftly cut off with a small curved knife in one single movement. Then a metal plug was immediately inserted into the remains of the root of the urethra, and the entire wound was bandaged and left to heal. So it was a little metal teapot out of which to pee once it had all healed.
Can I just say that doesn't sound dissimilar from what happens to blokes if they go to a special clinic to have tests for venereal disease?
Oh, with the thing up the urethra,
yeah,
sort of umbrella.
You get like a little umbrella thing.
The thought of it is just horrible.
It's kind of metal, it's like a cocktail umbrella, and they kind of push it right down. And as they pull it back, it kind of opens out and scrapes.
Scrapes the inner...
That's bad luck, isn't it?
Well, you don't want that.
Well, it's not actually a medical procedure, they just do it for a laugh.
That's you!
Bless you!
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh.
Christ, a good editing point.
Yeah. I apologise particularly to the sound department for that. Those appalling shock.
Those particles.
Why was this such a hotly contested event? The Toronto Stork Derby. Yes, Rich, you're going for your... No, you're not. You tease. It's the provisions of a very eccentric will which left a prize. It's like some 50s Ealing comedy. This very eccentric, very rich man left a prize to the woman who could give birth to the most children in 10 years.
Yes. Oh.
And it was called the Stork Derby,
and
as in the stork delivering a child. And there was great fuss about it because 2 women gave birth to 10 children in that 10 years, but amongst them was a stillborn child and 3 or 4 obvious bastards. And the judges talked about this and used the phrase obvious bastards. And eventually, because the money actually became worth more and more because it was actually in stock, which was highly successful for some tunnel. So it was worth about $750,000 by the end of it, Canadian. But eventually 4 women who gave birth to 9 children shared the prize, and the 2 who were disqualified were given $12,500 each. He had other weird provisions in his will. He left shares in racetracks to anti-gambling clerics and shares in breweries to prohibitionists. So he was a weird old fella, Millar. Well, it isn't anything. There's no such animal.
Huh?
As a panther.
There's a black panther.
Well, there's a black panther. It's a name given to criminals and to various other things, but no, it's a black leopard. The panther is a Greek word meaning all beasts.
Oh.
So it covers all kinds of things, but there's no actual animal called a panther, oddly enough.
So
Cougars, jaguars...
I am a panther?
if you like. But scientifically, it is applied to cats.
I'm quite happy with that.
Technically, you have Panthera leo is a lion.
Oh,
and
Alan.
Panthera tigris is a tiger.
You're a panther.
Panther. Joe's.
Wouldn't it be terrible? Super asthmatic. It's super asthmatic. Here he comes now.
You've got someone in the second row. You've killed
you
asthmatic.
have.
What about? Do you remember Paul Ramone, the comedian?
I remember Dee Ramone, the rock musician.
No, he used to
Was there one?
No.
What? Oh, yes, I do.
Paul?
Yeah.
He used to do this character called Lizard Man.
Yes.
And he'd go, Lizard Man, does whatever a lizard can. Not much. And then he'd go, help me, Lizard Man! Ah, Lizard Man, you bastard!
This thing I was doing about Einstein was where he was when he first went to America, and because he was always crumpled, and wherever he used to go, he never used to take any clothes or soap or anything, not even washing things. And when someone asked him why, he said, "Well, those things are just unnecessary ballast." He said, and he was staying around in America. We just started working at the university, and one day there was a phone call there in the office, and his secretary answered and said, "Yeah, who is it? Yeah, what do you want?" And this voice just said, "I need to know the address of Mr. Albert Einstein." And the secretary said, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't give out that information. Can I ring you back? Who is it speaking, please?" And the voice said, "Well, it's Albert Einstein. I can't remember where I live."
Oh, bless. What was stolen from both Bach and Handel by the same tailor? As I say, they never met. They were born in Germany the same year. And there's Handel, yeah.
Is it sandals?
No, it wasn't.
Like a rare rhyming slang, like Brahms and Liszt. Bach and Handel.
Oh, a sandal.
Yeah?
It would work.
Maybe they wore sandals with socks.
Nice Bachs.
Yeah.
That one there, is that Brian May's dad?
One of the right's John Sessions.
Everyone looks like John Sessions.
They do.
The one on the left is the angriest man I've ever seen in my life. And he clearly hasn't slept for ages thinking of music.
Well, you're right, he wrote more than just about anybody else in the history of music.
But did it make him happy?
Years
Did
to
it make him happy?
write it out.
Clearly not.
We hope, well, probably not. He was immensely gifted. What do you use to play an organ, a church organ?
Fingers.
Fingers and?
Toes.
Yes, fingers and toes. But he had to add to that. He'd add extra... He put a peg into his mouth and he would add other notes while playing on 3 different keyboards and with his feet. He could do that and play. I mean, extraordinary.
He's a nut, I look at him, he's mad.
Yeah.
You were about to tell us the answer, though.
Yeah. I was. His name was John Taylor. He styled himself the Chevalier or Cavaliero or Chevalier, however you want to say it. And he was a fraud, really. He was an incompetent... and he was dangerous, and he deprived both Bach and Handel of their sight. It's a weird coincidence. He claimed to be an oculist, and if he was such a thing, he was one of the most incompetent who ever lived. And Samuel Johnson made a comment about him as being an example of how far impudence will lead to ignorance or something of that nature. And he professed to do a cataract operation, and he would puncture the eye. And stuff would come out.
But what I don't understand is, why did they let him do it twice? And once he screwed up one of your eyes, you go, oh, God, have another go, you'll get it right the second time.
You know a story about a last dinner in a prison, don't you?
Yeah, Harold Chipman.
Harold Chipman, yeah?
Yeah, he had a curry for his last meal. And they said, did you enjoy it? And he said, yeah, but I could murder a nan.
Whoa. Yes. You see?
You too. That turned them against me by lulling me into telling a Harold Chipman.
It was your fault for being aggressive about that.
That was like Morecambe and Wise, that double act there.
Hey! You know a still.
I believe... Can I sing my song? Can I sing my song? Will you stop interrupting? Can I sing my song, Tommy? Tommy? Sing my song. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
I've seen a whip display in a theme park.
Oh, where they get the ash off the cigarette and all that accurate...
Yeah, they have it.
Was that
they blinded a child.
Park?
They had a blinded child?
No, they gave a child lung cancer by making it hold a cigarette.
Then they whip it out of there.
Had a couple of goes, by the time they got it out, too late.
It was already doing one of those horrible adverts they show in the afternoons during Colombo.
Oh,
people going,
oh no!
I didn't think it would happen to me. Yeah. Very
Those
grim.
adverts are... I tell you the ones I hate, those debt adverts, those poor...
Oh, Ocean Finance. Kill them all.
Finance. The debt one's evil, and it's just these people going, oh, I'm up to my eyes in debt.
Oh, Abbey National, because life's complicated enough. Who's that? Who's that? Who was that? Who was that?
All right, Alliance and Leicester.
Oh, yes. Everyone's too young to remember that. Damn.
And you have to split the money with the other fella.
Bugger. The cow.
Oh, dear.
The cow. Nice and natural there. The cow. It's your nativity.
Fill it good. Fill it good. Fill it good.
Sweets.
Why more natural? Why not?
That's all we need. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're through. It's time for the Christmas party. We're all done. Oh, yes, you said that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're through. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed the show. It's been a pleasure.
Fantastic.